Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Before I get started, I did want to say that it's Spirit Week at my school and today was Decade Day and nobody got my shirt. So do you get it? I think Blue Man Group is a 90s decade thing. So I don't know, apparently not, because one comment, a student said, "Oh, I've seen Blue Man Group." So, that's nice. Anyway, I really want to thank Shelly Swearingen because she did a video where she invited all of the new booktubers to Nonfiction November. And I thought that was really nice because I am new and I didn't know there was a Nonfiction November. And even though it's available to anybody, I thought it was really nice that she extended that invitation. It's just always nice to be invited. So here is my Nonfiction November reading plan. Speaking of Shelly Swearingen, I'm going to have a lot of editing for this video because once again I'm at football practice and there are people, and so I have to stop and take a break when people are nearby. I don't want to film anybody's children or anything like that. So I did want to say that when Shelly Swearingen extended this invitation to everybody, I'll link that video below, and she also linked a video to the person who explained Nonfiction November, and I'll link that video below as well. And the video explains that there are 4 fairly open-ended categories for Nonfiction November, and those categories are industry, treatment, style, and collection. Yes, collection. So, being sort of overly concerned with structure and organization, probably, I spent a lot of time thinking about my reading plan, and I decided instead of doing a bunch of little videos, what I'm going to do is one video on each open-ended topic. So I'm going to have to pause and switch my camera because I'm not that tech savvy. I don't know how to do it while it's going. I'll switch my camera and show you my plan. It's all spread out into different piles. And then I'll come back and I will explain to you my different topics and which books I'm going to discuss in the video that goes with that topic. Okay, so here are my different piles. I've got right in the middle treatment, and then I've got style, and then I've got industry. Give you a little sneak peek there. Peek! And then my last one is collections. So I'm going to talk about the different collections as well. All right, let me pause and then come back so I can look at the camera and tell you about my 4 topics. So my first topic is industry. And when I was thinking industry, I was thinking like self-help, how to be successful, how to build yourself so that you can be a part of an industrious society. And essentially, I was thinking also like be successful, get a good job, those kinds of things. So the books that I have picked for industry are Carol Dweck's Mindset. I'll give a separate video on these, but so my industry video will be Carol Dweck's Mindset, Donna Fritas' The Happiness Effect. This is a really good one. It's about the industry of social media and how it can really interfere with happiness. And I guess the lesson being, don't be caught up in social media because it will prevent you from experiencing your true industrial life, perhaps. And then David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. And those are pretty popular books. Most of you probably know about those books already. But I'm going to do a video on those and try and tie them into the topic of industry. Okay, the next topic that I want to do is treatment. And I was thinking the treatment of people who are not just like us, who don't fit into our box. And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is The Holocaust at Night by Elie Wiesel. By the way, this is in fact my autographed copy. My father and mother went and heard Elie Wiesel speak, and so my father got an autographed copy for me. And then the other one is a short story by Amy Tan called Mother Tongue. And I love this short story. I cheat a little. Some of these are things I've already read, but I'll reread them and talk about them. Mother Tongue by Amy Tan talks about Amy Tan, the author. Of course, I can't think of the title of her big book that turned into a movie. Actually, my favorite Amy Tan book is 100 Secret Senses. I did read the other ones. I read most of her books. I went through like an Amy Tan phase, but the Mother Tongue is actually a short story she writes. It's nonfiction, of course. She's writing about her, I guess it wouldn't be a short story. It's more of an essay about her relationship with her mother and her mother not being a native English speaker and why we treat people who aren't native English speakers differently sometimes, or why that's wrong, really, and her relationship with her mother. Much like her book that was so famous that I can't remember the title. It'll come to me as soon as I stop filming. And then last but not least, for the subject of treatment, I wanted to go to sort of a funny note. Funny and Farsi. And this is about a woman. It's a memoir growing up Iranian in America. And she has different funny, I thought about making it collections also, because they're just a collection of vignettes about her experience as an Iranian in America. And there are some really funny little snippets, but there's also some serious things about the way she's treated. So, for example, she's in Disneyland when she's a little girl, and because she's from another country, she's at the child find, the lost section for children who got separated from their parents, and the people there automatically think that she can communicate with a Spanish-speaking person, you know, which is incredibly narrow. But she writes about that sort of thing, the treatment she received in America, but on a light note. Like, she does it with humor, but it is also kind of sad. Well, very sad. Funny and Farsi, though. I'm going to talk about that one. Okay, now, this was quite a mind bend for me. How am I supposed to tie Audrey Hepburn to professional writing and reading? But I did, because I just love Audrey Hepburn. So I did. I wanted to talk about the biography. It's a biography of Audrey Hepburn, How to Be Lovely, because to me, she's just the embodiment of lovely. And I was thinking, well, what does that have to do with the different teaching nonfiction that I read? And I'm going to explain that in my video on style. So generally speaking, though, these are things on teaching style. And so here's a book that I haven't read that I have to read for grad school. It's called, well, I had to pick any book from the Not This But That series. And I picked No More Telling as Teaching. Less lecture, more engaged learning. And I'm not really sure exactly what's in here, but I ordered this one. It sounded good, so I'm going to read that and I'll tell you a little bit about it. And then there's, of course, a textbook that I'm not really enjoying, but reading specialists and literacy coaches in the real world, and like just different things, different roles that a reading specialist would take in the classroom. And then I have a series of articles, different articles. This is the Washington Post. Is there really a science of reading that tells us exactly how to teach kids to read? Basically, there are different articles on the reading wars, the debate between phonics and whole language, and I'll talk about that a little bit. I am, by the way, a proponent of phonics. But, you know, I think you can blend both very well, but I like phonics for what it's worth. Okay, and then there's this one. I believe that it's really important to stretch yourself and to try and get outside of your comfort zone in productive ways to learn and grow. I'm always pushing my students to do that, so I went ahead and tried to find a book that was just not something I would typically read. I tried to think about something that maybe I didn't know a lot about, that maybe I would find interesting, and I landed on this book called Killers of the Flower Moon, and it's supposed to be about J. Edgar Hoover and the beginning of the FBI, and I thought that would be really interesting. So I wanted to read this. It's just, I don't know anything about it. I'm thinking industry is where it would go, but I will let you know. To be continued. I might do my own video on this. Like, this one might get its own video, because this one I know nothing about it. All the other texts I have some background in, so I kind of know where I want to go with them. But this one is my way of saying I'm here to learn and grow too. So I'll let you know about that one. And last but not least, most definitely not least, actually the first shall be last and the last shall be first, I don't know. But when I was thinking nonfiction, and at first, it was funny because at first I was like, I don't read nonfiction. I don't know anything about nonfiction. I like mysteries and like fluff. And I've often said that because it's my job to read professionally, I don't read anything other than fluff when I'm off the clock, because there's so much I have to read, you know, the role of the reading specialist and different teaching strategies and articles on the science of reading and the brain. But anyway, that's not true. I read a lot of nonfiction the more I thought about it. And in particular, if you've seen my Hermie video, and if that doesn't interest you at all, then that's okay. But if you've seen my Hermie video, I talked about how when my son was born, I really went on like a spiritual journey that I'm still on 20 plus years later. And when my son was young, I started to really question, is there a God? Does he exist? You know, what's my purpose in relation to him if he does exist? And so I have been reading the Bible pretty faithfully for over 20 years. I try to read it every day. If nothing else, I do usually go to Bible study on Wednesday nights, and I have for years and years. So it was really hard for me to narrow down my Bible studies. When I say I don't have a library, I give away books, well, of course I don't give away my Bible studies because I write a lot of private things in there, but I have books and books and books on different Bible studies. And initially, when I first started studying the Bible, I went through a Beth Moore phase. And so this one I'm going to talk about Esther, the book of the Bible. Esther, I think it's really interesting for a lot of reasons, and I wanted to share. Just talk a little bit about Esther and what I learned from my Beth Moore study on Esther. I did a lot of Beth Moore's a couple years ago, and it was kind of an inside joke. You'd say like, oh, you know, I'm a Beth Moron, meaning that I do a lot of Beth Moore studies. But I think it's very important to never focus on any one teacher in any area. In fact, I used to teach 9 through 11, and I said, you know, I'm not sure if this is good for students to have the same teacher, you know, every year. I definitely loved it, and my students loved it, but I think it is important to put yourself out there and to learn from different perspectives. And so I have tried various different Bible scholars. And so after Beth Moore, there was a Gary Inrig kick. There was like a Dr. Gary Inrig stint that my church had, where the ladies just wanted to do Dr. Inrig after Dr. Inrig after Dr. Inrig. And he's fantastic, but I did get a little tired of Dr. Inrig after the 3rd or 4th study. This one is definitely my favorite of Dr. Gary Inrig. Hearts of Iron, Feet of Clay. And this is on the book of Judges. And let me tell you, if you think the Bible is for boring people, read the book of Judges, because it's got more scandal in it than your average soap opera. So I'm excited to talk about that one. And then another Bible study that I really liked a lot. I liked it more than most of the other ladies, perhaps. I'm not sure. I seem to be a champion of this one. Nancy Guthrie's The Word of the Lord, Seeing Jesus in the Prophets. And I loved this study. So I definitely have a lot to say on Nancy Guthrie's study, The Word of the Lord. And then the only other 2 things that I'm going to talk about briefly in that video is, I might not even talk about this one because I don't know if it qualifies as a collection. It's Victory Over the Darkness by Neil T. Anderson. This was just for me a life-changing book, and it was about how to live your life in victory. And I had a friend say, oh, that's spiritual warfare, you got to stay away from that. And I don't know, I really liked it. I felt that it was very helpful. I may or may not go into this one, but I will say I have this page bookmarked. Who I am in Christ on page 38, if you ever wanted to just be affirmed. It's just all these different verses that support your identity in Christ. Ephesians 1:1, I am a saint. Romans 8:35-39, I cannot be separated from the love of God. I am significant. John 15, verse 1 and verse 5, Acts chapter 1, verse 8. I mean, just zillions of verses on who you are and why you matter. So this book was a game changer for me. And then the only other one I definitely liked very much, I don't have it with me, I may or may not talk about it, but Anne Graham Lotz did a study on Abraham. And in that study, she started to have me questioning promises. And I realized I have faith, but I don't really think about the promises that are just for me. And I don't really rest in those promises. So I got a book on promises. And, you know, just quick, sometimes I pull up a verse and I look at different promises that can encourage me in my walk. So I might like to talk about a few of those promises, just little quick short videos on that if anyone is interested. Okay, so there you have my reading plan for Nonfiction November. In addition to that, I have some other videos that I want to talk about. I've actually already filmed a few different books that I would like to share with you guys. So I look forward to it. Thanks again, Shelly Swearingen, for inviting me. If you're ever wondering, should I invite that person? They're probably busy. Or maybe they already know and, you know, it's not something they need an actual invitation to. Just invite them, because it really feels good to be invited, and I'm so grateful to be just welcomed and embraced by so many wonderful booktubers, and to be invited and included. So I hope you think of that and you do that for others, and I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'm really looking forward to November. Bye-bye.